the rest of the checkerboards on, the letter sets. Little special thanks here for Mike Haravich, who makes all my catalogs. Woody, who's making gas tanks. Joe K, the precision machinist in our group. John D for a good friendship and being a good stooge most of the time. And without Karen, none of this would be possible, that's for sure. Midgley for the great tune pipes. And we still have some letter sets to do on the few. Craig Gunder has done all our header welding. Got a little spiel to join Pamp and Nest and the circle burners, and of course the AMA. Just some little ideas maybe you can use when you do your letter sets. And I've done some dotting around the canopy, some little rivet heads, simulated rivet heads. As I said, I have to do the fuselage yet. Kind of like the bird heads. I have the shields to do on the bottom yet. I still have to do the checkerboard on the bottom of the shields. And I want to do the lettering on the side of the body a little bit too. That's kind of wrap this up and then get some clear on it. Trying to decide whether I want to put anything up on the nose here or just leave it the way it is. Yeah, we'll think about it the rest of the afternoon. After a while, you just get buried in letter sets and inclines, and still have to do the bottom of this guy. This really gets to be a nuisance. This is the second day in a row I'm working on this. I wish they'd do away with this altogether. Let's get back to having classic-looking paint jobs. How many people vote for no inclines or letter sets? Yay! Oh, it's times like this you could put the curse on Billy Suarez for starting this checkerboard mania. Got a whole nother one to do. This took almost an hour to do with the ink pen. Oh my God. Suarez, I put the hex on you for these checkerboards. My God, this is boring. Anyway, we have one done and one to go. Tough it out if you want to be a checkerboard king. Tough buying those pants in Sears Roebuck. Yeah, this really starts to drone on after a while, all these ink lines and letter sets and pen work. I don't really enjoy this part of the job. I hope you enjoy it more than I do. I'd just as soon get some paint and some guns and let's go paint. Anyway, we're closing in on this today. We hope in another hour or so we'll be ready to put some clear on here. Finally, at last. Well, the only part left to do is the fuselage sides, and we'll be ready for the clear. All right, ready to do the other side of the body now, and boy, I'm telling you, this is really dragging out. Hate these things. Takes forever. Treat of treats. It's warmed up to about 35 degrees outside. We finished up the letter sets, and I really have to tell you, I'm glad this is over with. This is one of the worst parts of the job as far as I'm concerned. Now, one of the things I did wind up doing here, I'm going to try to paint all the little parts outside, of course. One by one, I'll try to show how much this color actually changes when you do put some clear on it. Now, I know because I've used these colors before, you do get a big color change with the clear. And then once I see it in its final, whatever you want to call it, color or gloss or whatever, then I'll make a choice of one of the things I might or might not want to do is put some nose art up on the nose, or I might want to, you know, put a stripe somewhere, or I was even thinking about putting something on the rudder. But again, well, we got another coat of clear on today. We let this sit over the weekend, and what we're trying to do now, we're going to decide if we want to airbrush on a little more trim, change the colors a little bit. Again, we're doing this kind of a freestyle thing. I have some more electrosets I'd like to put on. I'd like to sand out this coat of clear with either 600 or 1200. I'll run a little test. And then get the final clear on. Hopefully this week we'll be finishing this guy up. Now, over the weekend I was talking to a fellow that has a electroset machine and makes custom electrosets. His name is Bill Bogner. And if you want to get some custom electrosets made, his phone number is 201-444-1405, Bill Bogner. Now, one of the things he advised me to do is always keep electrosets in a sealed pack. So what I did over the weekend, I went through all my electrosets, and I labeled each bag. I got freezer bags, by the way, and put all the ones that are the same in a freezer bag. And you can see what I've done, the Praetorians and all the other ones. Even the wax papers I've put in a separate bag, extra wax papers. Put all the silver ones in one bag, all the small blacks, kind of segregated them out by groups. So this was a major thing for me as far as making it easy. And of course we passed this electroset box around among the people that build and contribute. I put all my templates here, all the bird heads and Red Baron lettering in one, rulers, all electroset tools in another one, and you might want to consider doing this. All the pens I cleaned up, got all my other pens in order. Got another box, and this is all one box, by the way. Put all my ink in one sealed plastic bag just in case it leaks. It won't get out. All my rubber cement, all my templates. So I feel like I made a major thing over the weekend as far as getting organized here, because this will hopefully be the last week I'll be working on and decorating and airbrushing and everything this guy. And having this stuff organized, you probably could see earlier on in the video, I had it laying all over the place. It was just unbelievable, and I was really getting sick of it being a mess. So I had to pull the plug on what I was doing, spend an hour or so and get it all squared away, and it really did pay. I really am happy with having it organized, and when I turn this over to Midgley or to Dameril or somebody else to work on their plane, John DeTavio, at least I don't have to be embarrassed. Everything will be in nice, neat order, and let's hope I get it back that way. That remains to be seen. I will videotape how I get this back, so Midgley, Campbell, keep that in mind. But it's a good idea to have all this stuff in order. I'm getting ready to sand off this coat of clear here and just knock it all down with 600, and then I'll start my airbrush work. Just to look at how some of these parts have dried up. There's a little bit of a shine on it, but I want to knock it down, of course. And I definitely want to get, now you can still see the little pit marks in here. I have to knock it down until there's no more pit marks. And I'll do this with 600. Now if I didn't have the flocking on here, the cobwebbing, this would probably be a lot easier, but that's one of the prices you pay when you want to do one of these super custom paint jobs. Now the trick with sanding out this first coat of clear is to get over everywhere there's a electroset that we can't see or feel it. And you can usually see the little shiny edge along the edge if you don't sand far enough. And obviously if you go through, you've gone too far. Now we'll spend the rest of this day sanding out this coat of clear. 600 paper. And we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do a little more airbrush work on this guy. And then put the final coats of clear on here. Now you got to kind of watch that all the stuff that drips over the edge of the wing, when the paint is soft like this, you don't wind up leaving stains on the bottom of the wing. So when you do wipe it, get around the edge of the wing or around the edge of the fuse. Otherwise you get white stains in the paint and you have to sand those out with 600 or 1200. Let's get a close look at that. Now right here you can see unsanded, you can see the orange peel, and out here where we just sanded it you can see it's pretty flat. take a look on a macro lens here and see what this looks like under the macro lens. Okay, I got the whole thing sanded out now. You can see it's all dull. I wound up using some 500 sandpaper on some of the spots that were really soft and mushy and chewing gummy, but got it all knocked down. And I want to mask off the canopy and put the final colors of tint in the canopy. Using the aluminum foil method that we showed earlier on in the video, or I guess we've shown it several times now, we're getting ready to shade the canopy. And now here's an important thought. When you're doing a canopy, it's got to shade from the bottom, being the darkest color. And I laid in some blue and laid in some black, but I want to kind of make this a little more interesting, get a little more color inside of it. And so I'm going to mix up some candy colors and see if I can get this to be more of a purpley blue. To probably coordinate with the paint job a little better too. Wasn't crazy about the way this color looked. But you know, this is a custom thing, and again, I want the canopy to be the only thing on the plane that's that color. That's one of the criteria. It is a little slightly different color blue. It's almost purple. Now, as always happens, we've sanded through a couple of the letrosets, and I've had to touch them up with an ink pen. By the way, you can touch up letrosets with an ink pen. Over here I sanded through in a few little spots, you can see. And what I do, I get out another letroset, put the new letroset right on top of the old one. By the way, that's why I was glad I had this all organized. But anyway, having this all set and ready to go, I'm going to touch up all the little stuff. I took out my ink pens here, get the ink pens working. Do all a little touch up, and then I'm going to put a little bit of, just a little bit of clear around the edges here. And I'll show you what I've done, is I've changed the color of the canopy a little bit, and I've edged everything with black pearl. So everything here has an edge of black pearl. So all I really want to do is get clear over that edge. And I've changed the color of the wingtip a little bit, so that the fade into the green goes from a pearl green to a candy green and then into the red. Did a little bit of pearl up by the nostrils up here. Try to give it a little bit of a, like a realistic look. Of course, when you sand out the checkerboard, you're going to go through in a couple little spots, especially around the edges, in which case you just get out the ink pen, ink it right back up, put it right back the way it was. Now what I've already done, let's just take a look here. I've already done the cowl. Of course, I do the little parts ahead of time with the clear. Edged in all my edges here. Go over by the, got all the flaps drying over here, flaps and rudder, they're all done. And I kind of like the way the little edging. Now this is the kind of thing, when you're doing this kind of a paint job, you got to kind of improvise as you go along. You can't really make a sketch because the colors don't look like they do in real life. And I really do like this guy a little bit better with the pearl around the edges, the black pearl. That kind of softens up the break between the green and the the black that was there. That was the part of it that I didn't like. And I'm going to go around and just go over these with a couple shots of clear. We have one more day, and I really want to do something with the Letrasets if I can. But I haven't been able to get a hold of the guy. Bill Bogner is his name. Waiting for him to call me back right now. So in the meantime, I'll touch this up and get maybe a coat or two of clear on this and let it dry overnight. And we'll see you tomorrow. Sprayed the edges. Only have the edges sprayed with clear. You can see the edges are shiny on this. Have it hanging up by the lead outs. Sprayed up on the nose. Anywhere that we put the pearl on the edges. We only put the clear on top of the pearl. Right, today what I want to do is I was thinking about putting some nose art on this last night. And I want to make up a little shield or something with some checkerboards to kind of coordinate what's on the wing. You can see all the spots that I put the extra clear on yesterday. You can see how I just, wherever there's Letrasets, I just have clear. This I'm going to put different Letrasets on later. You'll see how I do that. Gone over all little spots that need 2 coats. Yesterday we redid the canopy with a darker color blue to kind of coordinate better. Did the pearl on the leading edges. I don't know if you can see the pearl color. It's like a dark green or black pearl. And I'm going to lay out the nose art now. That's the little thing I want to work on. I only have about an hour today, and then I got to run down the shop. So let's see if we can lay out the nose art. Now remember the old, boy, nice to have everything organized. The old rubber cement trick that we did on a previous video with the little griffin, the little guy that's on the front of the purple ship. Well, we want to do the same thing now, same technique with the rubber cement and the paper. Now remember the little patch we had for, we used to use this on the other style paint job. I'm just going to cut this down just a little bit. That's a little bit too large. So I'll just use the same size and I'll just cut it down just a little bit and make a new pattern. Now you can see what I've done. I've folded the paper, made a little pattern. Again, I've just undersized it just a little bit. Of course, now they're both equal. And now I'll just have to lay out what I want as the final position. Now I put some rubber cement on the nose, and I want to get some rubber cement on the back of the paper here, just around the outline. Now what I did, I cut the sheet so that it would kind of position, this dimension here would position my shield exactly where I want it. And that's all there is to it. Now I let it dry and I pull out all the rubber cement. And of course I'll do the other side and get it lined up. Yeah, I come around here, look from the nose and from the side. Try to see that I have them lined up. Now you just let that cement set for 4 or 5 minutes and we'll pull out the residue. Okay, now this is dry. We masked some of this back with a little bit of tin foil. And we just make chewing gum out of this. Get up the rubber cement that's still in the area you want to paint. And you can see it balls up just like chewing gum. Whenever you have corners, work your way into the corners. We'll do both sides like this, and then we're pretty much ready to spray. There's a real quick way to put some quick trim on your plane, obviously one of many ways, but this is certainly a good way. Okay, and that's ready to spray. Today we put this guy aside to dry. We went down to Bill Bogner's, gave him the mats for our custom Letra sets, and we're waiting to get our Letra sets back. And we're expecting Russ Hunsberger here any minute now. Russ is due to visit us today. He's been working on a plane for the last couple of weeks. Now I just want to show you this fuselage that Russ was working on. This is going to be a rear exhaust engine. It's going to be a no cowl type of nose. With the typical Pro Stunt Products crutch. All the stuff that we've done on the previous fuse construction videos. I just wanted to show this guy. And maybe from time to time when Russ stops by we'll show the progress that he's making on this ship. Just a little walk around on Russ's fuse here. And we'll be coming back to this from time to time. And again, Midgley's due here tomorrow. Tomorrow is the big day. We've had to cancel a visit due to our incumbent health problems that we've had lately. But this is the old no cowl nose like Tradition. We're doing a kind of a copy of Tradition on this. And Russ should be getting the wings from Scotty soon. They're going to be 51 cardinal size wings, so we'll be looking back on this plane from time to time. Just while we're thinking about fuses, we've had this one around for a while. We're waiting on getting the wings from Scotty on this one, and we'll be finishing this one up. Now this one has a cowling. There's a little bit different nose construction, has the V deflector. This will be for a muffled engine, not a pipe engine. A little bit, this is light ply on the bottom, so we could put the tank vents right in there. And for anybody who hasn't seen a Cardinal V deflector, big Jim Greenaway type of nose, this is what it looks like. 1/2-inch mounts, aluminum pads, V deflector, 16th plywood. Wood between the mounts. In this case we've lightened it up with a ball mill. But look at this from a couple different angles. This is really a nice rigid nose, believe it or not. And we'll probably from time to time we'll be coming back to this. As this ship gets finished, you'll have another one. There's an awful lot of stuff going on in the shop lately. We really had a busy week here.
That one in the car yesterday was Sharon.
Fresh from New Hampshire, from his trip, his odyssey
Not fresh,
through the land of Oz. All right, take this out and let's see what it looks like.
God. You don't even give me a chance to get in here and relax.
Yeah, Larry Scarinzi's on the phone tearing his hair out because he wants to finish his plane for Phoenix. And he's not getting a lot of help from me. Anyway, we may get Larry's plane on the tape before the day's over. He's supposed to come down with his El Diablo. This looks pretty cool.
Sure.
Again, it's this time of year that everybody starts to hit the panic button and decide, I should have been a month ahead instead of all that time in Atlantic City or wherever they spent their whole winter. It's like getting some of this stuff knocked out. Yeah, that looks nice. Now you got the flaps and everything with it too?
Yeah.
Now everybody here knows that Dave is the master builder. And now we're going to give everybody 10 seconds to look at this wingtip with a beautiful wingtip box and figure out what's wrong with it. You have 10 seconds starting now to figure out what's wrong with this beautiful wingtip. You're right! The tip weight box is on the top. And here's the man that did it. I heard Rick Campbell carved this. Is that true?
Yeah.
We could give it to Dave Cook. I just thought of something. If Cookie wants to make one with these wingtips, you got it made. Anyway, don't think Jimmy Casal did this too, and he went through a whole season trying to convince everybody he wanted the tip weight box on the top, so that he wouldn't have to flip the plane over to change the tip weight. No, Jimmy, you screwed up. Dave, you screwed up. By the way, I have done this about 4 times already. I don't want to tell you how many times I've done this. Another thing that I like to do is I weigh up all the tip weight blocks, mark the lightest ones, and then go carve the outboard tip out of the lightest blocks. Oh, that looks nice with the scoops. Let's see the canopy area here. Being these tapes are going out even to South Africa. We got a customer in South Africa now who's got these converted. Oh, I like that. That has a nice look. That is definitely good. Definitely good.
Yeah, that came out good.
Yeah, that's super good. It's super.
That took me 2 nights to make. It's all I brought the tape of making it with me.
Yeah, I hear that.
What a pain in the ass that
I hear
was.
that. Things at Pro Stun headquarters are heating up here.
Nothing comes easy.
Larry Scarinzi's on the verge of suicide. John DeTavio hasn't worked on his plane in a month because of his girlfriend. I don't know, boy. We're in deep doo-doo here. Anyway, I love that outboard tip weight. All we got to do is find somebody that you can convince them that that's...
Flushing contest.
We give that away. The stifle tip weight box option. Yeah, that's great.
Great care went into wrapping these.
Okay, one of the things that's unusual about Dave's wing, this is the first one he's done it, is we have a wrapped leading edge. There's no little 1/4 inch square. That's a wrapped one-piece piece of balsa. And hopefully in the future, when well, probably the next wing I make, I'll try to do it that way and get it on camera. The wrapped leading edge is similar to the MiG. As he's taking his head. Well, you really, Mark Cowl must love you with all these paper towels.
This stuff went in the car with my wife yesterday.
Oh my God, that's risky business.
My wife and my son in the back seat.
She probably think, well, I think I'll wipe the windows down with these crunch, crunch. Ugh. I'd never trust anything in a car. Never. Yeah, this is looking good. We want to weigh the wing now, get an idea of just where this is, weight-wise. Did you weigh the tail yet?
No, I haven't.
You did a flat tail here?
Yep.
4.5, 3.5, or 4.3, or what?
4.5, 3, 3.5.
Oh, this looks nice. Only one hole in it so far, right? One?
I cut it. I cut it out.
Oh, okay.
I sanded the edge and I said, no, it's getting too close.
All right, so we're going to do some work on this, and we're going to try to get some of this. Actually, on this shop series, we're going to try to get everybody that's been working on a plane. Jimmy Damarell's about packing his. Be ready for a finish soon. So you can see what goes on in the world of Oz here. Yeah, that looks nice.
Yeah,
and a lot of guys just need to see what some of these planes look like when they're in pieces, and I don't know. I don't know how much help this can be, but you get to see everybody's new plane before they actually go to the Nats. That's always a help. And get an idea of what some, and we are weighing this with a grain scale, by the way. Our last digital grain scale is on loan. I won't mention any name of somebody who hasn't brought it back yet, but Jim, we need the scale back. All Damarell's full. Now, one of the reasons Dave is down here, and we're trying to establish just how much silver should go on here before you put the paint. This is on the macro lens. And right now, if you see this silk span has a dry look, I'll call this a dry look for lack of a better word, what it's telling you is it needs a coat of clear sprayed on it. And we'll sand this down a little bit and get a coat of clear. When you put silver on, the silver is there to tell you either you have enough finish or you don't have enough. In this case, Dave's a little shy on finish. So we're going to get first thing is sand this out and get a coat of clear on this so it can be drying. But just to know where it's too dry. Now let's see on the, you can see he's got a little spot needs to be fixed there. And if you notice, he's got a lot around the edges because I can see the brush marks. Right here you can see the brush marks. And actually some of these edges still need to be filled. So we're going to try to identify at what point in the finish this is. And if you can see this and you can identify that this is dry, this needs a little more silver. It really needs a coat of clear and then a coat of silver. Here it needs some filling done, and this is what we're going to be working on.
The whole leading edge here.
Yeah.
This is where it got real thin. From here, you know, the 4 inches.
All right, but that's a thing. A lot of people, here's where he put his patch in. A lot of people need to know is just about at what point you're finished with the silver, because if you put too much on, obviously it weighs more than it has to, and if you don't put enough on, obviously it doesn't look as nice as you would like it to look.
You can tell it's wrapped.
Yeah, this is a wrapped piece of leading edge, just like on the two planes that I made this year. All right, put the stab in the elevator up on a scale. Let's see what now. Now again, at this point in building, what we want to do, because I have notes of what my stuff weighed, and I have notes of when you build at that weight, does it come out tail heavy or nose heavy? What I want to know right now, this stuff right here should be 84 grams.
84?
Yeah.
It's way less than that.
84 would be, well, it's in silver. You're going to add more silver to it.
I don't have the horn.
Okay. Okay, so the horn is 10 grams.
Well, then I'm 78 with the horn.
78 with the horn means you're on the light side, but you're going to put more paint on this. Okay, but if this was, let's just say, for instance, this was 94, you would start thinking about, you know, really getting cheap on the finish on the back. Which the yellow plane with the yellow back end, I just put almost no clear on the back of that yellow plane for that reason. So you can kind of make your adjustment to this right now. And that's why it's good to always save the notes. Have a note on everything. All right, let's see what the wing weighs. So you're 78, allow 10 for the horn. Now we weighed up Dave's wing with the filler on it and the flaps and the horn. It was just a little over 400 grams. So it's a little over 14 ounces, which is just about what mine was. And we're going to try to do the body now, get some weights on what this stuff weighs before we go on. Just put it all right up on a scale. You got the cowl on there and you got the rudder? Okay.
I don't have the rudder.
All right. Anything under 280 is going to be free lunch. You over 280?
No way. I'm 230.
230? So you got a super light body and a wing that's a little bit too heavy. It's going to balance out and you'll still have a 60-ounce plane. That's what this is telling you. The wing is a little on the heavy side. See who's at the door, Dave. The wing's a little on the heavy side and the tail is a little light and the body's light, so you're in good shape. Okay, let's go to work. Now I want to put a tip on a video that maybe or maybe I've never put on a video. Now Dave's been sanding his plane with production-free cut paper. This is the yellow. This is not wet or dry sandpaper, and this is made with silicone carbide. So you really don't want to. If you look at this is 500 sandpaper. I just bought a sleeve of 500. It says wet or dry. If you're not using this black sandpaper, this yellow stuff, and you use this wet, what happens is the silicone that it's made from starts delaminating and coming off on the plane. So you definitely want to make sure you have wet or dry paper. Now Dave also couldn't get some M600, so he got some Prepsol, which is a good substitute, but it's not as good because it leaves, first off, it doesn't evaporate as quick, and it tends to leave behind more residue than the M600, but it's still usable. So that tip alone might be worth the price of the video. Wet or dry. If the sandpaper doesn't say wet or dry, might not be the right paper. Make sure you ask the body shop or wherever you buy it from. I'm glad you did that.
I used that last year, and I didn't even have any. I used it last year.
Yeah,
throughout
but
the whole building of the plane.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can get away with it, But if the one time it gets you, you go to pull a tape off the plane, the paint comes up. What good is it?
Ended a lot of it off.
Now you can see from all little low spots and high spots that this is going to need another coat of filler. We just touched this with 500 paper and Prepsol, and all of a sudden we can see these little high spots, little low spots. So apparently we're going to need at least one more coat of filler on this to fill it out. Now a couple of suggestions. Of course, always do the bottom first. If you're going to do any little testing or sanding, do the bottom first. So if you start going through or having a little problem, you'll want to do it on the bottom first. Now we're using 500 sandpaper here, 500 wet or dry. 600 will be just as good, but right now this will be fine.
Another day, it'll probably sand out easier.
Okay, we got the one side here, a little bit of red lead where it was bad, and it's got the trailing edge all straightened out with a sanding block.
This is pretty much
this one guy's ready to spray already. You can spray a coat of clear on there, wait a half hour, and spray another coat of silver.
More leading edge sweep in it than last year's. According to Wendy, that'll it's really not.
Now all the sharp edges, Dave put a coat of filler around the edges. so we have a little bit more to seal up the edges and get them nice and even before we actually spray the clear on. You want to get that, Dave?
Attached to it.
Okay, we're going to put a coat of clear on this now. Dave sanded out the last little bit of it. We're going to get a coat of clear on this and let it dry for about a half hour and then get some silver on it. Again, we're just working the edges. What I want to bring out here is how we're just working the edges, trying to get them and the edge here. Try to get that real nice and smooth.
And as an ongoing thing, you're going to be bumping through from time to time, unless you... But, I guess this is as good as it gets. This is a rebuild. All around it and everything black, and I took the 93 out. Just put everything together temporarily.
This is Dave's drawing for his new ship.
That'd be in the original gold, silver gold base.
Okay, now what Dave's doing is making up, we took a little tissue, there's one little spot here where the tissue you can feel is a razor edge, and of course we can't go back and sand it out now. So you're going to take some tissue, he's just wet down the tissue, cut it with the pinking shears, let's see if we can zero this in, and just make like a band-aid over the spot that's got a sharp edge. You can leave that hanging off, Dave, it won't even matter, and just go over this with the dope. Let it dry, and just put a nice big thick coat of dope on this.
Look at it. No point repeating this. And we're going to do some flakes in the canopy and then fog it in with
okay. Just cut a piece of 00 or medium tissue, doesn't matter. Tear it off.
This is all kind of freehand and kind of improvised.
And you can just bury this in paint or tissue as the case may be. This is a lot more convenient than having to make an open bay repair. And this guy already had an open bay repair, so.
A red and white plane, do the canopy blue.
Okay, and just dope away.
Appear anywhere else on the
and this happens to be filler, but it doesn't matter. It could be dope or filler. And that'll just blend it right in.
I got the first coat of flake on here. Usually I let this dry for about 15 minutes and then put a second coat on. And then we'll airbrush in around the edges.
Okay, and of course you just let that dry and give it the normal bury it in paint. Couple extra coats of dope and sand it out.
Comes out very sexy looking, very nice. But it's Walt.
Not easy to plans to Walt Prey's modified Cardinal. You just sent them down with Midgley with the twin scoops. Kind of a neat takeoff on a Cardinal canopy, like a boat hydroplane canopy. Tuned pipe in the belly, of course, the belly of the beast. Built up rudder. Walt Prey, the guy that's on the latest catalog. Cool thing, cool looking stuff.
I'm going to lay out in 1/8" tape, these numbers and flags and everything.
We just got back our new
Relentless
Bill Bogner official silver Letraset sheets. If anybody wants to have custom Letrasets made, call Bill Bogner up. These are made, I laid my own stuff out. I took some stuff off a Tom Lay sheet and, you know, and put my own words and, you know, all the planes things I tentatively write a lot. And I had to make up 4 sheets, and they were roughly 20 bucks a sheet done this way, but the minimum was 4, so it cost me 87 bucks with the tax. So I have Letrasets coming out of my yin-yang here today. But anyway, we wanted some custom stuff, and we got it. Okay, what Dave's doing while we're waiting for the elevators to dry is get a nice radius on all the edges. Working on the edges, getting a radius with a block, get everything nice and radius. Then we're going to give this whole wing a nice coat of clear. Now doing the same thing, we're giving this wood a coat of filler, getting all the edges squared away. Doubling up on the filler around the edges of the cap strips. And this is a real important thing. It's on the Nobler video and some of the other videos, I know, but this is just an important thing, is all of these edges around the silk span, we're putting 4 or 5 extra coats of filler right around the edge, because the edge in the cap strip is where you're going to go through. And then when you put the clear out, put the clear right on top and go out over to the wood, go out over the tissue, And so wherever the edge is, where the wood ends and the tissue begins, that's where you want to have extra coats of paint. And Dave is doing a second coat, just outlining it out there with a striping brush, a brush with real long hairs. And you see we have plenty of filler on here, right on the edge. This is tissue, this is wood. On that edge, when you do the filler on the wood, bring the filler out onto the tissue 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch. When you do the clear on the tissue, the clear can go over here 1/4 of an inch. So that in the middle here you have a lot of extra material, and when you sand it, it blends right in. And you don't want to go through on these edges. It's the edges, and all these edges in raw wood should be radiused and sealed. Yeah. Now Dave's got all the filler on, and while the dope is still wet, lay out a nice coat of, notice that he's putting the material on so that the brush strokes will be going from tip to tip, and when you sand we can go front to back and try to knock out a lot of the brush strokes that way easily. Put on a nice wet coat here. And this is shrink dope, by the way, with a little more than 50% thinner in it, maybe 60%. Nice wide brush. Half of the trick here is use a wide brush. Don't use a little scrawny little brush.
That's me on the phone.
Again, we paid a lot of attention to getting the trailing edge radius, so there's no sharp edges and a nice extra coat of filler along the trailing edge. Always want to keep a nice, and I've said this in the video many times, where anywhere there's an edge, you don't want to have a 90-degree sharp razor edge. You want to have a nice radius edge. The paint will stick a lot better, and the ultimate finish will be a lot better. You won't knock it down with compound. As soon as you touch it with compound, you'll have a soft spot. Now notice how the tissue is getting nice and soft here, nice and wrinkly. Okay, it's showing that you're getting a good chemical and a good mechanical adhesion now into the paint. It's softening up the paint underneath it, and we come back tomorrow to sand this out. We're not going to have to worry, hopefully, that when you put some masking tape on this, you're going to pull the paint right up off the wood. And you can just keep doing the edges, building up paint along the edges. That's where she's going to, you're always going to have a trouble going through on the cap strips or on the edges. We want to, speaking of edging, we want to get in there and get all the edges on the tip weight box. Where the tip weight box exits the wing, get a radius on everything. No sharp edges, no rough edges, no sharp edges.
as a pin on a ring, and on the back has two pieces of wire that slide from here. So to take the cowling, we just take the edge for the landing gear and open the pins.
And Dave's just trying to figure out here what we're going to do about a header for this plane. We have the amazing John DeTavio, the amazing one. Just turned 80 and doesn't look a day over 90.
Thanks a lot.
Tom Niebuhr's son. He's the one that sold Tom Niebuhr the diet book.
Oh, we're gonna kill that poor guy.
It's getting to be pizza time here on the first day of the great Dave debacle.
What do you know? You might think that even belongs there, huh?
Of course it looks good.
I'm telling you, I'm very unimpressed with that.
Yeah, I'll bet you are.
Are you sure this is how they invented toilets?
My official Craig Gunder piece of...
Oh, you got the header, okay.
Oh, I got a bunch of stuff.
The official Craig Gunder.
This is the header from last year's plane.
Gunder headers. Oh, I love them. Carl O'Sara, who wrote this nasty newsletter article and used my name, signed my name to it. Is this the Tunda Pipey?
Yeah, I can take the blame now.
Take the blame.
Yeah. Well.
Yep.
And set the handle, Bill.
All right, did you figure out you're gonna cut that hole yet?
Well, we're gonna cut a hole real soon. I'm not worried about cutting the hole.
If you use the same header as last year, it's got to come out in the same spot.
I don't want to use the same.
That's what Columbus said. He came out and he was going to go to India, and he came out in America.
I don't want to use the same header as last year. I want a new header.
New header? Where'd you get all this money from?
There's my new header.
A man that's having his 14th child in 12 years should be saving money, not spending it.
Carlos, I got something for you. Here's the official test.
Oh yeah.
Check out this wingtip.
Well, depends on the side it flies. Good for Dave Cook.
Carlos, did you ever drive a car in England?
I drove some.
That's what's wrong with that wingtip.
I drove some right-hand
Well, that's all right. It'll be on the top. What's the big deal?
wheel.
Yeah. Jimmy made one with the wing on, with the thing on top.
Yeah, somebody who had it with
Casal, and he sold the plane to Ferguson. Oh, today everything dried up. We got it all sanded out with 600. We even did some sanding on this patch that we have on the outboard wing. Did some work on the header last night while we had the crowd here. Got the header kind of fitted up. Dave's outside spraying right now. Let's see how he's doing. It's coming out all right?
Yep.
All right, just see if you can candle it. You got the whole thing shiny and wet? Okay. All right, looks good. The tissue's all kind of getting saggy too. And you know you got some good penetration there. Okay, let's do the other one. Just candle it and make sure the whole thing is wet at the same time. Yeah, it looks good from here even. And get a double shot on that trailing edge. Right? That trailing edge needs a little work. There you go. Trying to work on getting these edges a little bit nicer on this ship. Go for that big front rotus here. All right, that looks good. Yeah, looks like it's going on pretty nice. Try just candle it. Make sure you got a wet coat on everything. Fantastic. Okay, it's looking good.
I think it looks fine.
Looking good, baby. All right, put them aside to dry for a while, and then we'll. Oh, you got to do the stab yet. Okay. Okay, we got the heating vent blowing out some nice heat here. Got the elevators in silver, stab in silver. Got the wing, another coat of clear on the wing, and we'll be ready to shoot the wing another hour or so when this dries up. Making some good progress here. Jose Modesto stopped in. Mike Costello's over here. It's the regular party time. Party time at Pro Stunt. The pizza will flow.
System, his was 8 ounces lighter.
No.
And they were the same exact point. That's my man, though.
And Dave's carving up
Oh, we all
a larger scoop here, so I'll have more clearance from the old scoop.
Half this block is
What
gorgeous.
happened?
The other
You're
half
not
is
gonna use the other scoop?
Is it solid? I got blocks out. Why don't you take one of the good blocks I have? You're gonna spend all day carving that, and it's gonna be a piece of junk.
You can have that.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on my point.
Forget it. I give you.
Got the first coat of silver on the wing today. This is just gonna be. I hope this is gonna dry up, and tomorrow we can do a little more work on it. Yeah. Oh, you got the little boxes and stuff done. Okay. Super. Okay, we'll spend a little time working on fuselage now. Just want to share some pictures I just got from Bruce Perry with you. Some nice stuff. He's kind of documented some of the stuff he's been doing. By the way, I like the logo on this shirt. Bruce, trace this logo out. That'd be a great logo for a plane. Now here's a profile that he built. In raw wood, of course. There's a ship that he said is based on an Oriental. I like the number 5. Looks like the number 5 from the Red Baron. And he says he used the Windy finishing videos to do this finish here. I'm impressed. It looks real good. Anyway, just want to share that with you. No big deal. And we're going to get back to the shop. Here's Dave's nose section, finally putting the final touches on this. Has the scoop made up, ready to put the little vents in. Let's see how this scoop cowling's coming out for Midgley. I want to show this little cute little attachment way he had to making this. Made a little side scoop on here to go around a pipe that comes off with 2 little plywood, what would you call them, snaps? I guess.
Snaps, hooks.
Yeah.
Show this so Walt knows how to figure out.
Yeah,
his-
Walt Prey, if you're watching this video, man, this is the latest thing. Take that off. We'll show them how it comes off. Let's show this.
No, it won't come off.
No, it won't come off.
There it is.
Okay, there's 2 slots in the body. Let's get this in on a macro lens here if we can. Okay, yeah, you got it. Okay, and that just slides into 2 slots here. Slides back, and there will be a little
One
bolt
screw
in
on
the
the
back.
back, and it's on.
That is a nice cowling, kiddo.
It's gonna look good.
2 out of 3 concourse winners have a scoop on the side of the body. Remember that, Walt. Anyway, we did that. Got that done this morning. Working on the cowling a little bit. Got that scoop sorted out. All the silver dried up beautifully. The silver's just beautiful over there, looking real good.
Oh yeah, does that look cool or what?
Yeah, when it's all together, that's going to look sharp. I like that. There's enough scoops on this plane. Should name this plane.
Change the name Ferrari. Or
Change the name to Pooper Scooper or something. Yeah, it looks good. I bet Walt Russell will like this too. He likes scoops. Yeah, that's a good looking front end. Scoops on the top, scoops on the bottom. Ice cream scoops, yogurt scoops.
Yeah, look at the bottom.
Who knows? Yeah, that looks good. Let's see the bottom. That's good. Nice cowling.
That does look good.
I have the resin drying on Dave's cowl, the fiberglass. You've seen this on a set of videos before, no sense going back over this, but this cowl came out exceptionally nice, and this is really, there isn't one wrinkle in the glass cloth anywhere, so kind of an impressive looking job. I kind of like it. Here's Dave's 1/4-inch flaps, which we're going to hollow out now and put some geodetic ribs in them and sheet them. Hopefully get this finished today before he leaves. We'll get working on this next. Now, since these flaps already have the taper already, sanded into them, we just laid out some 5/8 tape to get a 5/8 rim, and then radius the edges so we don't have a stress riser. And obviously we can pull this piece of wood out of here now. And we just have a hollow shell. Now, of course, we'll put some geodetic ribs in here and then sheet it with some 75 thousandths wood. Okay, laid out the ribs 1 inch apart, and of course just using a T-square, mark them for the trailing edge and the leading edge. I'll strip off some rib stock with a 1/4-inch stripper. And all this is the poor man's stripper, a razor blade glued into a piece of old wood with a little edge on it. To make your own stripper, you don't even have to buy one. Strip off 3 or 4 pieces of this. It's hopefully, this is sea-grain wood, and we're just going to lay out the ribs roughly with this and then block sand them into final shape. If you use 1/16, you might save a little bit of weight, but a lot of times you get such a point at the high point, it doesn't even pay to do it. It's better to use 3/32 or 1/8.
Grain.
Resume thereafter based on 60-month financing at 10.9% APR plus tax.
And what we decided to do here is a little change of plan. Is we're going to glue the frame right down to the bottom piece of wood. This will be a little improvement over the way we did the original one, or started to do the original one. Get this glued right to the sheeting. We'll glue the ribs in and then block sand down the top and glue the top on. Just make sure you hold it down flat while it's...
Oh, this is a great way to put a curve in it.
Yeah, you'll get a built-in curve if that's not flat. See, there's another good point, is that when you have 2 guys working together like this, well, I'm working and Dave's watching. I'm paying and Dave's eating.
When you take a mental vacation.
Anyway, should have never taken them to the Mongolian restaurant
Build them the
last night.
Polish way.
Anyway, you come up with little improvements in the way you're doing things, and this certainly looks like a little improvement. Yeah, Dave's just got a sanding block with, what is that, 80 grit on it? Yeah, 80 or 120, it's rough. And just block sanding down that surface flat. Since this already has the taper in it, it's not a problem. And then we'll just get the thick CA and lay the top sheet right on top of it.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
Don't worry, I'll give you the same deal I'm giving Randy Smith.
Better leave no nasty things about Randy here, come on.
Randy's been getting them for free.
He must know Bill Clinton, I don't know. Anyway, we're sanding this all down with the block, and then he'll get the top sheet put on, of course. This is the canopy mold we're using for the Cardinal, that new Cardinal kit that just came out. Dave's going to be molding canopies off of this mold. Now the first couple of kits that came out don't have the canopy in it, but from the 6th kit on they'll have, and I guess I'll just send everybody a canopy that already bought a kit. Anyway, that's what the mold looks like. We're going to put another coat of epoxy on this, try to build up the surface and get it nice and smooth, and then some auto primer. Now Dave got the flaps finished, the wing is in silver, the scoop is on the side of the body. Body's pretty much, where's the cowling? Cowling's even squared away. Oh, you put it on. Cowling's on in filler coat. Tail's in silver and the canopy mold's ready to be sanded out. We put a coat of Bondo on the canopy mold. Now, got the scoops in silver today, got the cowl in silver, got all the little pieces in silver. What we did, we're doing a little bit of work up on the stab, a little bit of red lead on the leading edge of the stab. I'm going to try to straighten that out today before Dave leaves. It's a kind of a lousy day, but we'll probably, what are you going to work to, about 12?
Yeah, 11, 12.
Okay. Just some of the repair Dave had to do on this. This is one of those wrapped hollow leading edges, one of our patented inventions. And as that patch, we have to try to make that patch disappear. Block sanded out some of the parts on the leading edge. You know, what's important to understand too is everybody goes through, everybody has little mistakes to fix. Learning how to fix these little mistakes is a significant thing. Now we'll get another coat of silver on this before Dave actually leaves. There's a little spot out at the end, somebody put a belt buckle or something in. The stuff isn't perfect when you make it. You've got to just keep grinding away at it and flattening it down until it does get perfect. And if you see that everybody has these mistakes and things, maybe you won't be so intimidated by the fact yours might not be perfect right at the beginning.
Somebody better put your bag into your place. We will rock you. Sing it. We will rock
Alright, Dave is safely, hopefully, on his way back to New Hampshire. And I want to put some of these silver Letra sets on, do a little experimenting with them. These are the ones I got from Bill Bogner. Again, if you want to give him a call for some special Letra sets, I made the mat on this. Or if you want a copy of these Letra sets, I can loan you the map. Whatever. I'm going to start working on these. Now, one of the things I did, and this is a good tip for you, before you do double Letra sets, if you're going to do double Letra sets, the first set has to be sealed and clear, and sand it out. This is all completely flat sanded. You can't feel electrosets at all. And you can see where I've put a little bit of extra clear on a little emblems and on a little decals and around the bird and Midgley's name and everything around here. But now I want to go over, I'm going to clean this with some M600 and start laying out these silver electrosets and just get a feel for how I'm going to like this. Now, right up to the last minute I can say, well, I don't like it and take them off. But, you know, since I paid 80 bucks for these electrosets, I have a feeling I'm going to learn to like them. Okay, there's the effect of the double electrosets. Maybe a good idea somebody out there can use. Let's hope they can use it. Make sure the first set is buried in clear and put the second set offset about 45 degrees. And these are the beautiful silver electrosets. I'll tell you, they've gone on real nice. Press them right down. They really have gone on nice. I'm very impressed.
Rock and roll. That's why they call me bad company. I can't deny. Bad company till the day I die. Till the day I die.
Now we have obviously some more little electrosets to do. We want to look around as we do the decorating here, but anybody that's not good at painting lettering, or if you've seen the video before, a couple of videos back anyway, and you see how much work it is to do lettering, this is sure an easy way to do it. It looks three-dimensional, and now we you know, have to cover this coat, this lettering with some coats of clear, and let's make sure the first couple of coats have extra dry and spray with very low pressure, so we don't get any chance of melting. Anyway, kind of like this. It's a good tip. Just one of the things I'm trying to include on the video here. Get as many of these ideas out into the real world as we can. Just show some of the details we're working in the silver electrosets in. Of course, you do this all with electrosets. Yeah, you gotta try to make it look something like it's semi-scale anyway. Thing we want to do is we want to ink the nose here, we checkerboard it up, And we'll pretty much be finished with the letter sets. Now you can pretty much see where we have a couple of coats of clear here, and this is the trick here, is to get the clear that's going over the letter sets to be very thick. This is about 1/3 thinner, and you can see it made this whole surface around it orange, peely, and rough. I'm going to have to knock it down again, but it did bury the letter sets in clear. And be aware, these letter sets, just like any other letter sets, if you have too much thinner in the first coat, and you can see everywhere I've got a silver letter set now. I also did the canopy again. Everywhere there's a silver letter set, or even some of the other ones that were kind of sticking through, you have to bury them in clear. Now what I'll do is I'll knock this all down with 600 again and get off all the orange peel. And each coat now I'm going to add just a little bit of thinner, just a little bit of thinner so I can build this up. But you don't want in that first coat, I let this dry over the weekend by the way, you want this to be sealed. And when you sand this down, you don't want to try to knock it down flat, you just want to get it smooth. Just so you can get a coating on there that's going to seal it, because the thinner will go down and melt the letter sets, and if it does, it means you had too much thinner in the first coat. And again, you wouldn't want to build up the whole wing panel in clear, it's just going to add extra weight. The only place you need the extra clear is right over the letters. We also went over the little shield, a couple extra coats here, and over the canopy and a couple of the little extra things. Now I try to get all the little letter sets that are on here as varied as possible, just to make it interesting looking from far away. Have some letter sets on the rudder too. Again, buried in clear. Now I'll sand that out with 600. In each succeeding coat I'll probably put 3 or 4 coats on just to bury it in clear. Okay, now you can see I've got this I've got this all sanded back down. And now the next coat I'll put a little more thinner in and just start building it up. Make sure I don't have any high spots on here. I still have to do the fuselage, of course. Let's see, this all has to get knocked down too. I put extra clear on here. Now you can't feel this line at all. Now before I actually spray the clear on here, looks like a reasonable day to shoot clear. I want to touch up all the spots, and you can see I've touched up the trailing edge where I sanded through. It's usually the edges that you'll sand through on. Touched it up with the airbrush, and I have to touch up, now see on the shields around the edges, I have to touch that up with an ink pen. And all little touch-ups now, and this hopefully is going to be the last coat of clear.
Now you can also walk around a plane and find any little spot that needs to be touched up right now. Any way you see you can touch this up right now, it'll be a big advantage. Do less mistakes in the final coat. Now the first thing we'll do is go over to the little parts. We have all the little spare parts, the flaps and elevators and everything, and do a little spraying on that, get the mixture just right for today's temperature, and then the main frame will be the last thing.
Get ahead and we'll do the rest. This is the end. This is the end. My little friend.
Now, because this is the last time we'll probably sand this out, we really want to get the whole surface flat. And I see there's still a couple little more imperfections in it. You really want to take the time and get every imperfection out of this, because this will be the last coat of clear. And just keep sanding away and hope you don't go through. If you go through, you got to touch it up. If you don't go through, even better. Well, except for touch-up, that'll be the last coat of clear on there. Got this sprayed on. I'm going to just let it sit now. Looks like it has a reasonably nice gloss on it, so I'm not going to get too nervous about it. So I give this a day or so to sit, preferably 2 or 3 days, and toward the end of the week we'll start buffing it out
do the sanding with 1200 and buff it out, and I guess that'll be the same technique we used on the other plane. Let's start by doing the little parts, checking the little parts out over here. Where the heck are they? We'll do a flap or a cowling or an elevator or something just to get the parts down. Once they buff up nice, then we'll go on to this. Alright, now this has been sitting here for 2 days while I've worked on other projects, and it just so happens that I have a major renovation to do over at my two-family house. It's going to really blow this away for a while. But at this point in time, and this is a good time to mention this again, I like to sit and look at the finish up close. This has, for all purposes, all the clear on it. And I got what needs to be done right now is, if this was dope, this would have to sit and dry probably 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe more, maybe 8 weeks. Because it's acrylic, it's only been sitting 2 or 3 days, and already it looks like it's ready to be sanded. But again, I will not touch this piece of the airplane. I'll go get my little parts, 1200 sandpaper them down, get out some socks and some Gorham silver polish. And by doing the little parts, I can make a judgment judgment on exactly how hard the paint is. And it's important to have a feel for when paint gets hard. It gets harder and harder and harder, especially dope, and at some point it'll hold a buff real nice. And I'm hoping that we've reached that point with acrylic in 2 or 3 days. But even with acrylic, if you let this acrylic sit for another week, 2 weeks, if you let it sit a month, it'll get easier to buff. The longer you let it sit, and if it's a year old, if you aren't going to fly this plane, if this was September and you aren't going to fly this until March, let it sit till March, and it'll buff out, bingo. Any of the planes on the wall that are 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, even the oldest one is 7 years old. If I take the 7-year-old paint, touch it with 1200 and compound, bang, it's a mirror instantly. So keep in mind, that's an important little thing to think about. Another thing too is, before you go any further with this, you want to look around if there's any little spots. Now if I rub my hand on this and I find a little spot, a low spot, a high spot, or whatever, I can touch this up just by putting on a little more clear as a touch-up. And I know there's one spot out here on the outboard tip, right by the J in Big Jim, that needs to be touched up. So what I'll do is I'll get the airbrush and just keep hitting it, and I'll work on that wing for the rest of the day. Now another idea, and this is a funny thing, I bet you this happens to everybody. I've had about 15 people already at the house: Damarel, Midgley, John DeTavio, Niebuhr, whoever, Peabody. They've all come to the house and give me their opinion of, now this is because this is a radical paint job and there aren't a lot of these floating around on the wall, a lot of cobweb jobs floating around. The jury is still out on it. Roughly half of the people really like it, and half of the people really want to vomit when they see it. So the plane's been nicknamed the Harley. I don't know why. Every plane seems to have a nickname, and this one's been nicknamed the Harley. And I'm going to try later today, and I'm going to do the male first, and I'm going to take the little parts, try to buff them out, and if the paint's hard enough, try to get the buffing started on this. Typically I would allow 8 to 10 hours to buff the whole plane. So far it feels and looks the way it should, but we'll try the little parts and we'll see how that works. Now the rudder is always the part that I start with first of all. I'll take a look at this, and this looks fine right now. So I'll go get me some 1200 sandpaper and some M600 or Windex and just sand it down and get a little look at, I'll pull the knife blade out, and get a look at how this paint is on a hardness scale, how it's going to buff out. Now this is before it's sanded, and I just want to get a look at the amount of orange peel. You can see there's not a lot, but there's some orange peel. So the first thing is, with the 1200 paper, is get rid of the orange peel. And this is the kind of a look you should have. Now you can see the little indentations where all the cobwebs are, but they'll go away as soon as you hit this with 1200. Now you always get a little bit of an idea of just how hard the paint is when you hit one of these little spots. And I want to show on the camera roughly how long it should take to knock one of these surfaces down. Again, if the paint is soft, you might want to try Windex instead of the M600, or if you can't get the M600. I like the M600 better. Okay, now let me show this on camera now that we've done that. Now you can see the orange peel effect down at the bottom and where it's been sanded up top. Sanded with 1200. The orange peel, the sanded area. Just get a look at this top area. Now even though it's flat and dull, we're going to sand it until I get all the little imperfections out of it, and then I'll get the old gorums out. And this is my little test piece. Now if you have this idea safely in your mind as to what this should look like, it'll make buffing it a plane out a piece of cake. Acrylic really does buff up a whole lot easier than dope, given that everything else is roughly the same. So I feel there's a little bit of an advantage to using the acrylic, but if you get this idea of what it should look like sanded, what it should look like in orange peel, and you've seen how long it's taken me to do this. I haven't taken a half hour to do this. This is a relatively a quick operation to knock this all down. In fact, you should be able to knock the whole plane down in one day using this method, unless you get tired or if your arms and back get a little tired. When you do this every day like I do, or almost every day, you get a little, I guess, a little stronger than average. And I can generally do a whole plane in one day, but at the end of the day, I do have a sore arm and back, that's for sure. Like Nolan Ryan or something. Anyway, that should help you get an idea of what we're looking for, and this is definitely 1200. Okay, I just want to show this has the whole thing knocked down with 1200 now, and from this point up, you should be able to just go in with silver, Gorham silver polish, and this should come right up very quickly. If you use 600, the only downside is going to be you're still going to get little microscopic scratches somewhere in the paint. With 1200, you don't really get any scratches. Okay, so we'll get the Gorhams and we'll give this a shot right now. It looks like the paint is hardened up in 2 days, hard enough that we can work with it. Okay, you can see this is popping up real nice. So this is telling you that the paint on the small parts is just about the right hardness for buffing, and this was only a 2-day cure out, so let me wipe this down real nice. And you can get an idea of just about how long a buff out, a couple spots I missed, how long a buff out should take. What a lot of people do is they get caught up in spending their whole life buffing out a plane, and if it's not going along smooth and quick, there's a problem. And the idea of this whole tape series is to make it that instead of taking 100 hours to build an airplane, you can make it in 75 or something. And the biggest saving you're going to have on a whole plane is not wasting a lot of time buffing it out. And I don't care what anybody says about epoxy finishes and K and B and everything. Nothing looks as good as a buffed out aeroplane. Second place is a long way back. Never seen anything done with any of those enamels or epoxies that was really nice. Hand rubbed lacquer is hard to beat. Go to any car show and you'll see. Any custom bike show. Now, a paper towel works well too. This is just Gorhams and a paper towel. get some idea of the nice gloss on this now. Again, another thing too to remember, in fluorescent lights, mistakes show up a lot more accentuated than they do in taken out in sunlight. When you take this out in sunlight, it'll look a lot brighter, a lot shinier and whatever. And being everybody's already busting my chops about having a Harley here, I should have put on a nose of the plane powered by Harley. Powered by VMAX or V-Power Harley or something. Anyway, that's part of the fun of the hobby. Making fun of each other is probably the best thing we all do. If we got too serious about this, it would be a shame. Anyway, that's about it. Now I'm going to do the rest of the little parts one by one and then save the main frame for last. The reason for saving the main frame for last, because it's the biggest part, what generally happens is that's the hardest to do, and so the paint then is the hardest. I think you can really see on the camera this is really a nice gloss. That's a nice finish. Now you're not going to get that. I don't care how you do it with enamel, hobby epoxy or anything, you're not going to get that kind of a gloss. That's what it's all about right there. And years ago when I was a kid and I asked Jim Silhavy, "Hey Jim, how do you do this? Could you help me out? Could you give me a few pointers?" And he said, "Hey kid, it's hard work." Well Jim, you lose. Everybody's going to know how to do this. And your image as a special guy is deteriorating daily here. All I have to say to you is thanks a lot. And thanks to guys like Harold Price that really were willing to share this stuff. And that's why we have 20, 30 people that are all ready to jump up into the front row and enjoy the heck out of all these finishes. It's just nice owning something this nice and shiny. Alright, not to belabor the point. If everybody watching the video can duplicate this in a relatively short amount of time, I think the videos have served their purpose. Again, what's always a good idea, a good thing to practice on, you can see how much orange peel is on this. Always good to practice on the tip weight box, because if you go through, who cares if the tip weight box has an extra coat of paint? Who cares if the little gear doors have an extra coat of paint? Not going to kill you. Especially the tip weight box, just mean you'll have less lead. So, because I wanted to test this paint hardness out, now I'll try the tip weight box now and these little doors and see if they buff up. I'll be real confident then about going on to the cowl, the elevators, and the flaps. But definitely do all the little parts first before you go pick up the main frame and try to do the main frame. Now I've used one tube of this, one jar of it. It takes about this much compound to buff out one plane. So being I'm starting the second plane this year, I'm going to go get a new jar. That's about normal. I just want to mention that on a video. One jar and maybe 30 sheets, 20 or 30 sheets of 1200 should be enough to do a plane. I'm closing in on finishing up a pack of this. It comes in a sleeve of 50 sheets. And so I've used more than a normal amount of sandpaper, but the results look good, so I'm not worried about saving money on sandpaper, that's for sure. That's a good concept too. Save money on other things. Eat less hamburgers, eat less, you know, fattening swordfish or something, but spend money on sandpaper. Okay, now on some of the parts, if you've seen the previous videos, a sock is a handy thing. On doing the cowling, the sock is a handy thing. Now it's a good idea. I want to mention something on this video. Joe Adamusco the other day just passed a good tip on to me. He said on his white airplane he's having trouble with the new SIG light coat going over the white when you buff it out, that it comes out a little on the orangey side. So if in doubt, you might want to call, or if you're doing light coat, you might want to call Joe Adamusco and talk to him about the problem he had before you go spray your whole plane with light coat on a white base. You know, it's pretty obvious if you spray over yellow or green, it's not going to be a problem, but and it's not a problem if you do acrylic, that's for sure. But the new light coat, even though I've used it and I haven't had a problem, I haven't been going over white aeroplanes. So let's try to pass that information on to as many people as possible before we have a lot of reject aeroplanes out there needing to be refinished. And if in doubt, like I say, just give Joe a call. Joe's a top quality guy, and he's not going to lie to you or give you a song and dance. And this is one of the things we can all benefit from the videos if we pass on tips like that fillet tip. And if you look at the fillets on this plane, that's one of the outstanding features of both of the planes have perfect fillets. So maybe we could share some of this technology and we'd all be ahead of the game, that's for sure. But the clear stuff, that scares me because this is the first year that they've had the new SIG made by SIG supposedly. And if you look in a can and it's not perfectly clear, find out what the story is from Joe, how his white plane came out if you're going to do a white plane. Actually, Russ usually does a white plane, and when we go to do Russ's plane, we might find out one way or another. And Midgley was talking about doing his white, so it's a factor you want to consider. Now, in the base coats, that material seems to be fine or better than the material it supersedes. But as a clear coat, it might be a problem. And if it is, this is the way we want to, hopefully pass each other on the tips and the little tricks and stuff so we can make this as painless as possible to build these things. And when it's painless to build them, they'll be a lot more fun, that's for sure. And we'll be doing Jim Damarell's plane pretty soon down the road, so maybe we'll try that, and if he's doing a lot of white, we'll find out. The only way we're going to find out is by doing a few planes on our own. I'm not a believer in just passing on information until I try it myself, but because Joe Adamusco is such a high quality guy and his workmanship is absolutely unbelievable, I want to make sure that I get that out there before somebody goes and shoots up a plane, in a white airplane in light coat, and then finds out it turns yellow. And if you do have a problem, my suggestion is you call SIG and find out what the deal is. Maybe they have a problem with something, rust in the cans or whatever. Best to get it right from the horse's mouth. Alright, we're closing in on having the cowling buffed out. Let's get a look on this on the macro lens. Alright, so we've got almost all the little parts now except the flaps and elevators buffed out. And because the flaps and elevators are relatively flat, they usually go pretty fast. So we'll move right on to this. So far, we've been lucky. We've had good luck with this so far. This is about as good as it gets on an early buff out. Now this buff, just to mention a few things, this buff out that we do 2 days later, this will tend to fade away. In a month it'll kind of get dull because the paint will kind of settle in from contracting and heating and cooling and stuff, especially if you put it out in the sun a couple of times. But what will happen now is just before the Nats, say a week before the Nats, I'll sit down and spend an hour, and believe me, the paint will buff right up in 1 hour, and I'll really buff most of the time into the plane that I know I'm going to fly, either this guy or the purple one. Not so sure you're going to be able to see this on the video, but I did get, opened up today's mail, finished the mail, and this is what came from Walt Prey. Kind of a cardinal logo, and we'll certainly be thinking about doing this in the future, especially with this demo coming up real soon of the guy who can make all these master stencil cutouts. This would be a nice one for sure. And thanks to Walt Prey for this, obviously. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on the video. Kind of neat looking. And Walt, obviously the master idea man, letterer, whatever you want to call it. And he also suggested, it's funny enough, I just said this morning, he suggested that a Harley logo, if you pull out the Harley and put in Cardinal, would probably work pretty good too. So maybe I can buy up some old Harley emblems and glue them on the hood, I don't know. Anyway, and we'll show you the other one he's got here. Wait a minute, there's 2 of them. Isn't this funny? Everybody's calling my plane a Harley, and here we have a logo. Anyway, he drew up this logo too. And when we go down to that club demo, which we'll try to get on one of these videos of how they actually do the mats and how they do the offset lettering, we're really going to try to, this is kind of cool, I like this myself. Anyway, and here's some lettering, this goes this way. Try to get all this stuff on a video so you get all the ideas you possibly can, and you can also see where I get my ideas. This, of course, is from Walt Prey, and he's become one of the real contributors to our video and building program. Good friend of Dave now, good friend of mine, and I want to thank him again on the video for the contributing into our little, quest for the world's neatest stunt plane, or quest for a high school diploma, whatever it is we're looking for here. I don't know. Kind of cool, Walt. I like it. Yeah, also in today's mail I got a letter from Panama, one of my customers in Panama who's building a twister, and he sent some photos, and I sent him some video to check out, so glad he's contributing. He also sent a picture of his Banshee. He's got a Banshee here. Let's see what else he had. Stephen Greneau. He's in Panama right now working with the military, and obviously flying up a storm, so hey. As long as we have Noriega in jail, that's the main thing. Stephen, keep Noriega in jail and keep flying. Anyway, it is just some pictures he sent in. And we've been getting a lot more pictures than we normally do, so I'm just trying to include them in as we go. And another point here, this is the point I really wanted to make, is in a long buffing day, this is going to be 8 to 10 hours of buffing, you want to take a break. And my arm's getting tired, so I took a break, did the mail, looked at the photos, whatever. And after you take a break, now we can come back and do some serious work. Let the arm rest up here. Even Nolan Ryan needs a rest. Okay, we have all the little parts done. We even have the flaps done here. Look at this. Look at this. You can see the reflection of the wing in a flap. I love it. Real nice. Anyway, that part of it is kind of caught up, and we're going to start on the mainframe after lunch. What's for lunch? Ah, a banana. How nice. Now I got all the little parts done, and I'm trying to work on the mainframe here, whatever energy I have left today. All 1200, just like the little parts. Paint is really coming up exceptional too. I really am happy with the way it seems to be just coming right up. And it's good exercise no matter what they tell you. If you buff out planes all your life, when you get to be 48 years old, you'll look just like me. What a thrill, huh? You can go on the Fat Boy of the Month plan. It's funny, when I go to the chiropractor, he's always so impressed how strong my arms and shoulders are. We're having another one of those beautiful northeast snowstorms right now, so I'll probably stay late and work on the model tonight. I just want to show you how that 1200 paper, it even puts a little bit of a shine on it. You can start to see the ribs coming through the sheeting. The other side is still orange peeled. This side is starting to come up real nice though. Once you get this way, you absolutely cannot feel anything here. If you close your eyes, you don't even know. You would think this is one wing, it has no lettering on it. So the next step will be I'll dig out the old Gorhams. In fact, we're into the new jar already. Get the new Gorhams, get out some socks, and buff this panel out. Now I noticed one thing about these socks, these cheap socks my wife gave me. These socks are smoother on one side than the other, so I'm putting them on backwards. Seems to be buffing out a lot better with them backwards than frontwards. And it's right at this point that you can start to feel some of your upper body strength. Some of those nice big biceps and triceps that you show off to the women. Yeah, it's funny with Walt Prey. He sends me a Harley decal, and everybody's calling this plane a Harley, and I don't know if I like it yet or not. Well, we can always fly the yellow one. And as I said before, we have a problem that will require about a month of my life to straighten out over at my two-family house, so this will definitely be a two-aeroplane season. That kind of puts the killer on what was going to be the third plane this year. Is now officially a two-plane year. And since the upper wing will be the one of the focal points of the plane, this is one of the places I want to have, you know, relative perfection on. Now handy to get in these little scoops. Just take the end of a sock and an arrow shaft. Makes a nice tool for getting in and buffing out the inside of the scoop. Now we have almost the whole top done today. We're going to do the bottom tomorrow. The whole top is kind of buffed out and ready to go. So we'll pick this up tomorrow. Got the top of the stab done. Went pretty quick. You can even see the reflection of the VMAX in the wing. Looks good. And once the plane is buffed out, it starts to take on a new look. You can really see the colors for what they really are. So we'll finish this up tomorrow. Okay, this tape is almost over, and we're going to close it out with some photographs, of course. And we'll pick this up on tape 16. Well, we hope you've enjoyed the tape. I hope you've gotten something out of it. Hope you're inspired to go buff out your plane or something. This has been a tough day, and actually looking forward to a little rest. From the old picture album. Nice picture of Mike Dietrich here. Mike Dietrich, and I'm giving him an inverted launch at one of the Cleveland meets. And this was my first foam wing ship. That was the Illusion. The first foam wing ship I ever made. Another picture from one of the old Cleveland meets. I used to go to Cleveland meet every year. The Executioner and Mike Dietrich's plane. From the same album, picture Dennis Adamison's one of his early V-tail ships. I think he called this the Orange Crate, I'm not sure. More from the meets we went to at Cleveland. Got quite a few pictures of Cleveland in here, I'm surprised. Same Cleveland meet. You can see the big field. This is where Billy Werwich flies, right by the Cleveland airport. This is Dick Maddox on the right, Carl Seifert on the left. Two of the really true nice gentlemen of stunt, and they came out to the Cleveland meet one year. This is the guy, by the way, that made my personal toolbox on the right, Dick Maddox. I have to thank him for a really well-made toolbox. And he also made the box. He co-sponsored the trophy with me, the old-time stunt trophy that we now have as a perpetual award. He physically made the box. I think that was a harder job than me buying the trophy. I don't really know for sure if this was Dennis Duval's plane. Dennis Duval, of course, passed away recently. I'm trying to remember. It looks like a High Johnson type of Stuka. And this is again at Cleveland from our Cleveland album of years and years ago. I really wish I knew. Anyway, nice Stuka. And I remember this ship flew real well. Good flying plane. Here's the Executioner and two of Mike Dietrich's planes here in the lineup. Just looking at the wheel pants on this. Nice set of wheel pants. I wonder if I could get those wheel pants back from Holtzapfel. Anyway. Now there's the closing picture in this set. My favorite plane, a 900 Sweeper. And stick the tongue in, Wendy. Come on, give me a break. Anyway, we hope to see you on the next video. Hope you're enjoying the videos.
Things we said to